This is my 2022 CRF 450 RL, and I'm going to tell you why I don't like it. It's because I love it. I know, it's kind of corny, but you can leave the video now because I clickbaited you. So anyways, this bike has been phenomenal to me. Mechanically, it's all stock, stock pipe, stock ECU, everything. Everything you see is cosmetic. I got the adventure spec. I don't even remember what that thing's called. Anyways, I got that. Put some OEM bend ODI fat bars on there because I love the OEM bend. Have a Kimimoto rack, which is fine. You don't need a super expensive rack. I have like a $30 tail tidy off Amazon. Works fine. And then I have a whiplash seat. I went a little bit against the grain and bought that instead of the Seat Concepts. I've compared it to a Seat Concepts, and I think the Seat Concepts is a little bit better. And then also I have the IMS 3-gallon tank because 2 gallons is just not enough. I've had this bike since I had 49 miles on it. It has 3,500 and some change on it now, and it's been completely problem free. It has had all of its oil changes, no problem, nothing mechanical, no fork seal leaks. The front tire is still a stock one. I did replace the rear. I put a Tusk D-Sport on it because this thing eats the stock rear tire up, and so I wanted to get a little bit more life. I do a lot of road riding. I did drop it and bend the radiator on the other side, but I fixed it and it's been going strong so far. I had to replace the fan too because it broke it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go ride it and kind of give you guys an idea of what I think. So a lot of guys will tell you that this bike absolutely is unrideable without an ECU. That is not true. This bike, like I said, bone stock. I have an ECU for it at home. I have a pipe for it at home. I haven't put it on yet. The bike doesn't need it, okay? Unless you're doing like super duper hardcore enduro, this bike is basically flawless. Yeah, it doesn't have a jerky throttle. Sure, it's nothing that you won't get used to over time, but honestly, once you get adjusted to it, it's perfectly fine. And then people complain about power. I mean, this bike has plenty of power. So, I don't know what people are complaining about. I have a 250RX. Is the 250RX faster than this? It probably. It also weighs less. It's not a road bike. You have a lot to consider here. This bike is a lot more comfortable than that. It's not a full-blown race bike. It's a road bike, and it rides like a road bike. And another thing too is, this bike, like I said, it has all the power in the world. You can just pull it up in second gear, power, no clutch, nothing. You can just hit it. Again, it's so easy. You can even do third gear. Second gear, you can just hit it, pull it up. No problem whatsoever. Third gear, a little bit of clutch, a little bit of throttle. Yeah, it'll come up. I'm not going to commit to it because I didn't hate it doing wheelies on this thing one time, and I'm not doing it again. So another thing is, a lot of people want to know how good this bike is off-road, and to be completely honest with you, it's fine unless you're doing anything super tight and technical. It does not like that. You know, it does have its flame out issues. I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't. And if all you're going to do is ride super tight technical stuff, you should probably go buy like a KTM 500 or a KTM 350. But in reality, for 90% of riders, this is going to be more than enough. It's going to be plenty. This bike would be perfect if you lived in, you know, out west in the desert, somewhere where you could really keep this thing kind of opened up. But I'm just going to do a little bit of like some lighter stuff right here and just kind of show you how it does. And I'm not the best rider in the world either. And I mean, as you can see, it does fine. I mean, I have the stock front tire on here. It's a little sketchy, I won't lie. Would probably change that out for something, you know, a little bit better if you're going to be doing any kind of like slick, muddy, sandy type stuff. But I mean, honestly, I mean, it does great. And then if you want to open it up, I mean, you can. And then the bike does perfectly fine. Another thing, people talk about the weight. I really don't notice it. I mean, unless I drop it, which I've dropped it a few times, and then it feels heavy. But again, you know, there's a lot of things going on here. You know, a lot of dampening in the frame, stuff like that, to kind of, you know, keep this bike more road friendly. And you can kind of tell. But again, it's not a KTM 500. It's not trying to be a KTM 500. It is trying to be something else. This is a dual sport, not an enduro bike with a plate. That's the main problem with, you know, the Austrian manufacturers' bikes. They're great bikes. They make great power. You know, they do a whole lot of things great, but they vibrate. They're very fatiguing, and they don't do good on the road. They're just enduro bikes. For someone who wants this to be a light adventure bike, you want to go do some longer rides with some friends, you want to go camp overnight, whatever, this bike's great. I have a set of bags and stuff that I normally run on here. I took them off for the review. And that's what I do with it. You know, I do my longer rides, you know, but that doesn't mean I hesitate when I see a more difficult trail or, you know, something. I mean, I hit a lot of power line trails and things like that. And honestly, again, no complaints. This bike is phenomenal. So if you've been considering one of these and you're on the fence, you're, I don't know, you know, I think I'm going to do a lot more enduro type stuff, and I really just need to get from trail to trail. You know, plate something like a KTM 300, or buy a, you know, KTM 500 or whatever the other equivalents are. You know, buy something like that. But if you're like, oh, you know, I want to do some longer rides, you know, I still want to be able to hit some trails when I get out to places and stuff like that, buy a 450. You know, buy one of these. Don't listen to the people that tell you, oh, it needs this and it needs that. It doesn't need any of that stuff. I mean, this bike is just great. It just soaks these loose rocks up. It does awesome. So you don't need your, you know, $1,000 ECU or $1,000 Graves exhaust or anything like that. It doesn't need that stuff. All it needs is someone to sit on it and ride it. That's it. All those other little things, the touchy throttle and all that, you'll get used to it as time goes on, and then you won't even notice it. So, to answer my question at the beginning of the video, why don't I like my CRF 450 RL? Well, it's because I love it. In my opinion, it's the best dual sport money can buy, period. You get the reliability, ease of maintenance, and you can just ride it. You just get on it and ride it and enjoy it. So, Anyways, later this week I'm going to put out a video. I'm going to throw on the AIM ECU and the FMF exhaust, and I'm going to do a comparison with my friend who has a bone stock 450 RL just like mine. So I'm going to take a lot of my stuff off, and we're just going to kind of get a side-by-side comparison, do a couple drag races, you know, some 6-gear pulls, things like that, and show you what the difference really is. So anyways, I appreciate you watching the video, if you watched all the way through. And yeah, if you like, give me a subscribe, and I'll keep pumping out more content like this and a lot of my races that I do. So anyways, thank you and have a good day.